Yo, what's good? Fresh out. It's the King So Rich. I'm over here with my brother D Rugz, man. We having a hell of a conversation. My brother, thank you for coming out, man. I appreciate you 100%, 110%. So listen, like, I want to touch on you, but I also want to touch on the New York State prison system, right? So let's kind of give the people a glimpse into what New York State prisons is like. But first and foremost, let me ask you, how long were you incarcerated for, and for what?
Well, I was incarcerated. I was doing 12 to life. I did exactly 12 years and made my first board. I was in there for a home invasion, which is a burglary in the first. And yeah.
All right, so like 12 years straight. That's a long time. All right, so like, what is it like behind those walls? Like, what is the culture? What is the culture of the New York State prison system? Like, what's dominant? What's not dominant? Like when an individual goes into prison, what should they expect?
I mean, don't expect no friends. Don't expect no friends. You know, if you think you going in there and you know everything is gonna be happy-go-lucky, like, yeah, you bugging. You know, but the prison system is in New York State is it's a racist system. You know, like when I was growing up in the Bronx, like, I didn't really see the difference between Hispanics and black people. You know, like, I looked at it like we all the same. Like we all in the same boat, in the same projects, going through the same trials and tribulations. So I didn't really notice the difference. I knew there was a language barrier, you know. I mean, we speak Spanish, you know, like that's what we speak in my house, you know, but other than that, I didn't really see the segregation and the separation and the racism that you see until I got to prison. And when you get to prison, it's like, you know, the Latinos usually stay with the Latinos. You know, the Muslims stay with the Muslims. You know, the Bloods are with the Bloods. The Crips are with the Crips. You know, it's like it's everything is segregated, and you see that racism amongst each other, amongst us, amongst blacks and Latinos. You see it a lot, you know, and that's something that I didn't really experience in the streets. You know, I always looked at it like, you know, we always cry about the white man, you know, and, you know, but, you know, in my hood, I never had no white people come through and do nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, the white people inside that prison, yeah, that's totally different. They the overseers, so, you know, they definitely got their foot on your neck. But you see a lot of separation amongst us on our own. Like, we don't really need them to tell us that. We do it on our own. You know, and that kind of like sent me for a spin, because, you know, like I said, I grew up on 174th and Cedric Ave, you know, and, you know, birth of hip hop. You know, the birth of hip hop, you know, 174th and Cedric, but, you know, that's another story. But like, I grew up on 174th and Cedric Ave, and the building I grew up in was a working class building, you know, like, but it wasn't, like, we was the only Latino family in that building, so all my friends that I grew up with were African Americans. So it's like, when I got to prison, like, you telling me that I can't be with these guys because they not Latino, because they don't speak Spanish, like, that kind of like threw me in for a loop, especially since, like, you know, I had a time where I was gangbanging, you know, I was blood. So it's like, you know, when you running around and you blood, ain't too many Latinos that's blood. You know, so it's like that's not what I'm used to. Like, I didn't grow up like that. Like, Mama Love ain't teach me that right there. Like, that what you preaching right now is like unheard of for me. But alright, cool, like, that's what y'all doing, that's the song y'all bopping to. I'm gonna come over here and dance to this song, you know, because I'm gonna do my own thing. So, like, that was, like, you witnessed that a lot. You witnessed a lot of racism and a lot of hate, man. Like, you know, you got, it's a lot of hate going on, man. It's not a happy place. It's not a happy place, but, you know, I don't think it was meant to be. You know. But the system in New York State is definitely different. Like, you know, Attica Correctional Facility, man. Like, that jail right there, that's a different jail, man. I went to that, just the only prison I ever been to that I feared for my life every single day. And it wasn't because of inmates, man. It wasn't like, you know, we gonna do what we do regardless. It was the police, man. Like, they'd kill you in there with no problems, no hesitation. And what hurts is not the fact that they can hit you or hurt you, it's that they get away with it. Like, it's nothing. You count it amongst the nothings. You know? And that's what it feels like. You know, there's like, I was watching TV last year when all the protesting was going on. And I was sitting there baffled because I'm like, yo, this ain't new. This been going on. You know, y'all just pulling out your cameras now and showing it. You know what I'm saying? But this ain't new. And I just looked at it like, yo, you know, the focal point is definitely, you know, police killing unarmed black men. But at the same time, what about the men, the black men that they actually don't kill and they arrest you and bring you in them walls? Like, there's a lot of people in there. There's been times where I felt like I wish they'd have Sean Bell'd me instead of being in that prison, in that hellhole. You know, like, there's a lot of people in there that wish they'd have got murdered by the cops as opposed to getting arrested and being a hostage by the cops, you know? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you a hostage. Like, it didn't take 12 years to change my mind on what I was gonna do when I came back home this time. Like, it didn't take 12 years. And I guess it did and it didn't. It took me growing up. It just took me growing up and realizing, like, yo, this ain't it. Like, yo, bro, you in your 40s. I'm 42 years old. I don't got no kids or none of that. Like, and for another person, like, when you in the hood, like, that's a plus. And you ain't got no kids. You in your 40s. You doing great. But when you don't have that option, when you denied yourself that option, that's when it hurts. Because I denied myself that option of being able to have a kid, being able to have a family, being the individual that looks out the window and says, yo, it's time to come upstairs, as opposed to being the individual who gets yelled at out the window, yo, babe, it's time to come upstairs. All right, babe, I'll be up there in a minute. You know, so it's different. Like, it hurts to know that I deprived myself of that. Because, like I said, I'm not a victim. Ain't nobody come into my house, knock on my door, and come kidnap me. You know, I committed those crimes. But the things you gotta endure in prison is different. It's
So you mentioned Attica.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of stories we hear about Attica Correctional Facility, right? Officers killing prisoners, officers handcuffing prisoners and riding them like sleds down the steps.
Yeah, right down the steps.
Right? Attica and Clinton. So, like, for you, like, when I was up north, the only time I went to the coop, the only time I went to the box was because I had a situation with an officer, right? So, like, what would you say, like, how are these officers allowed to get away with these things day in and day out?
Well, a lot of times, man, it's just designed that way, Rich. Like, it's designed that way. Like, I can't sit here and say the system is broken, because the system ain't broken. It was designed to do exactly what it's doing. You know, we didn't design it, so of course it's not in our favor. It ain't supposed to be. We didn't design it. It's not supposed to be in our favor. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's destroying lives. It's keeping a certain class of individuals in that same certain class. You know, so it's doing exactly what it's designed to do. The system ain't broken. You know, it's not broken. It was never designed to be comfortable for us. You know, there's always, you know, when you start committing crimes, you start learning law at the same time, because you realize, hold up, I need to learn law, because they doing me dirty. Like, right. You committing crimes and you don't even know the penalty for the crime you committing. That's automatically wrong. Like, at least look up. Like, if you're gonna go drive, you know, before you get the license, you're gonna study, look at the manual, and drive a couple times. You know, it's the same thing. You committing crimes, at least know how much time that thing carries. You know what I'm saying? Learn the penalties and the consequences of your actions. So it's like I said, like, we get in there, And this is when we start to really learn more law, because we didn't realize like they could do this, they could do that, they could do. And then you start learning that for every law, there's another law that'll trump that could get you out, that could save your life possibly, right? But that wasn't meant for us. Those laws that trump other laws was meant for them, for when they get in trouble, when they get in there, they could utilize that. Because we already see what happens when we utilize these laws. It goes to the Supreme Court. That no longer is the law. It changes. You're going to stay in jail, and that's no longer the law. We're going to renumerate this law to fit the how we meant for it to be. You can't use that. That ain't for you. That's for our people. That's for when we get locked up. You know, we could get up out of there. You got to stay. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is modern day slavery. You know, and it's we talking about the correction system, right? It's called corrections. So the job is to correct. This is the only entity that profits off its failures. If you succeed in correcting me, I don't come back, you don't have a job. We can't correct them. We got to make them worse. You know, we got to give them a reason to come back. You know, so, and then you have people that take these jobs to exercise their hate for us already. Like, you already hate me. You took this job to exercise your hate for my people. You know, it's no coincidence that every jail is so far away from our communities and placed in their communities. You know, like, yo, you go upstate, man, to become a correction officer is equivalent to becoming a doctor in New York City. You know, this is the goal. This is the family goal. Yo, go ahead, guys. They got their mothers in there. They got their daughters in there. Their wife is the nurse. You know what I'm saying? His son works in the box. You can't win. You can't win. You know, you commit an act. I write the ticket. My wife does the hearing. You can't win. It's not designed for you to win. You know, it's a place where you got to realize, you know, and it took a while for me. Like, I didn't look at it like punishment no more. I looked at it like a place where I need to be for right now to get my shit together to never come back here. You know, because as long as I kept looking at it as punishment, I was rebellious. Like, it's like, yo, man, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. And it could be the best thing for me. But as long as I looked at it like a punishment, I'm rebellious. Like, yeah, you think it's the best thing for me, but I know what's the best thing for me. And obviously I did, because I wouldn't have been in prison if I would have known what was the best thing for me, because that wasn't it. It's different. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot. Like, it changes you. It changes the person you are in totality. Like, I can't sit here and say I'm the same exact individual I was 12 years ago, because I'm not, you know, and I'm pretty sure nobody in here is the same person from 12 years ago. Shit, there ain't too many people in this room that's the same that they was before 2020.
Yo, listen, bro, you spoke about how that experience behind the wall changes people, right? Like, and you also spoke about the relationship between officers and prisoners, us and them. Us and them. It's a stern line. The line is drawn, right? But talk to me about the relationship. Talk to me about what it was like for you as a Spanish, a Latino, blood, right? So you already spoke about that separation, but talk to me about that a little bit. Like,
I didn't have too many problems being being blood and being Hispanic, because I know Spanish. You know, I speak very good Spanish. You know, I speak it just as good as I speak English. So, you know, I never really had no issues with the Latin community. But you can see it. Like, you know, it exists. The racism exists to the point where it's like I've had people get cool with me and then throw it out there like, yo, what made you become blood? Like, yo, why you mess with them dudes? You need to come over here with us. Because in prison, every day is a constant, it's a constant recruit. You know, everybody wants you to be down with something. You know, the Muslims want you to be Muslims. The Latin kings want you to be Latin king. You're not even Latin, but they want you to be Latin king. You know what I'm saying? The Bloods want you to be a blood. The Crips, they just there. But, you know, everybody wants you to join them and be down with them. So it's like, it's different, man. Like, with the Latino community, like, I've always had them tell me, like, yo, what made you turn blood? Like, why you mess with them dudes? and things of that nature. And I'm just like, yo, I don't really see it the way you see it. Like, you know, a lot of individuals that join these little gangs and all that, they join these gangs in prison. Me, I turned blood in the streets. I didn't turn blood in jail. So it really wasn't a factor of me going to prison and, yo, I need some protection. Let me go over here with these guys. Nah, it was my whole block is blood. You know what I'm saying? The whole block blood. If the whole block would have been Crip, I would have been Crip. You know, the whole block would have been Latin King. Chances are I'd have been a Latin King. But it didn't work out like that for me. You know, my whole block was blood. So, you know, going into the prison system, being blood already, especially when I turned blood in 1996. So going into the prison system in 1996 as a Hispanic blood, like, you didn't want to go into the prison system being an African American blood in 1996 with all them Latin Kings on Rikers Island and all that. Like, you know, it was serious. It was a lot of things going on at that time. You know, it's easy now. It's easy to pick up any flag and be down with any gang, because now it's, you know, it's different. It matches the clothes. You know, it's a difference between being a gang member and being a gang banger. You know, and now, you know, you just got a bunch of gang members. You know, ain't nobody really doing no gang banging. I mean, we not even in a time where you need to even be doing no gang banging, you know, because at the end of the day, when you in these places like prison, or there's already a common enemy. Like, why would we need to pick up these flags and become our own enemies when we all share a common enemy? He's right there. But it's easier for me and you to fight each other, right? Because there's no real consequences and repercussions of it in a couple black eyes, some scars, you know what I'm saying? So it's easy for me and you to fight each other. But it's hard for us to come collectively and fight the fight that we should be fighting, you know? And that's what happens in prison a lot. Like, you'll beef with me. And I see it, we all seen it, you know. If you've been in prison, you know, it's easy for you to curse me out and for me to curse you out. But the moment them pigs come up here and slap the shit out of me, you know, I conform. I don't say nothing. Like, oh, I hold that down. But I'll kill you for saying my mother. You know, and that's what goes on. Like, you know, the fight, we choose to fight the wrong people. You know, we have a fight. You know, we definitely have a fight, and it's not even a physical fight no more. Like, it's a mental fight. Because if you fighting physical still with the enemy, then you always gonna lose. Because they always gonna be ahead of you. Because they fight ain't physical. You know, only your fight is it. And if that's all you could do, then you inadequate. You know, if you could only fight one way, if all you know how to do is pick up your hands and fight physically, then you inadequate. You're never gonna win anyway. They always gonna conquer you. It's too easy. You know, but the relationship between me and a lot of other Hispanics being blood and all that, like, they really didn't like me. You know, they was all right with me because, like I said, I'm Latino and I speak Spanish. And I've been around for a while. Like, you know, it wasn't my first rodeo. Like, I practically grew up in prison. So a lot of these old timers and stuff that been in prison forever, they actually watched me grow up coming in and out of prison. You know, some of them to the point where they didn't even know I went home 3 times. They looking at it like, oh shit, you here now? Yeah, what's up, man? Yo, all right, pa. Yo, your peoples is over there. Because that's the first thing you hear when you walk up in the prison and you gang related. Like, everybody knew me as being blood. Yo, the little short Spanish blood kid that raps with the long hair. You know, that was the description of me right there. Like, oh, nah, the little Spanish kid. You know the Spanish kid with the long hair? Oh, Rugz. Yeah, him right there, the little blood kid. So, you know, when it came to the Hispanic community, like, they just, you know, they just accepted me when I was around. If I'm around, they'll accept me, you know, but if I'm gone, you know how that go. Like, you know, I'm one of them. And that's how it is. It's the same way as like the us and them thing. There's always a us and them. And when it came to the Latin community and me being blood, it was just like, yeah, whatever. Son is on his own. You know what I'm saying? He messed with them dudes. So, you know, it was different. It was different, but it really wasn't too much to an extent. Because like I said, I didn't grow up in an all Latin community. So it really didn't make a difference to me because the individuals that I chill with are the individuals I'm chilling with. So it doesn't even matter. Anyway, that floats your boat, y'all over there. Plus you hear a lot of things you don't really when you don't share that same ideology, that same mentality with a class of individuals, whenever you with those individuals and you hear these things, it'll always rub you wrong anyway. So these are not that type of individuals that you want to chill with anyway. So I never really had no problem disassociating myself from individuals that shared that mentality, because at the end of the day, I'm like, yo, we all from the hood. Like, you know, and like I said, like, we'll kill each other in a heartbeat, but when it comes to the fight, we should be fighting, man. We losing because we ain't fighting.
Yo, absolutely, Brody. Like, I appreciate you sharing that with us, man. We got a whole lot more in store with D-Rugz, BX, New York, Fresh Out. Shout out to Big Herc 916. We in the building.